Hey, how's it going? Stormworks is on the mend. I'm pretty effed up at the moment. What I've been thinking about is with this lifeboat, it's got this wedge all the way down here. And I want some kind of launch system similar to how the rib works. Or maybe it's got like a gripper at the back or something. So if I can find a spot, I know I can probably get one in the middle, like through here. Maybe? Yeah, probably. And the idea with that is I will be able to run a track. So on the ship that this lifeboat can be attached to, this can run along a track. And then once the lifeboat tips off the front, the back should be clear enough that this tips over. There's basically nowhere else I can put a gripper for this kind of system. It might be good to put multiple grippers on here. There just really isn't much space. And the alternative is that I put them up in here, which cuts into my walking space. The other thing might be to put in a hard point, which if I move whatever this is, oh yeah, barometer. So I was testing just to see what would happen with that stuff, what different pressures I would get. So here is my locking point, and then I'll move the dive light so it's not, really in the way. Doesn't necessarily matter where the dive light is. So I thought this was really good from the rib, where it's like a little exposed hard point, and then it can slide along a track. It'd be good if that could be placed up the front, and then you could use the same trailer that the rib can go on. But then for coming off a boat, like coming off a ship, it'll either go backwards, because you want the gripper to be the last thing that's touching the rail. Like, you don't want it to stop. You don't want the gripper to be off the rail quickly, because then it will jam. So ideally I'd want it somewhere at the back, which might be possible. But then getting the hard point at 2 blocks in front is probably not very possible, because this can go in here. There is space underneath the flywheel for that block, but then the hard point would need to go right there, which is in the walkway. This actually makes a lot of sense now that I'm doing it. So even if I leave this gripper here in the middle, then that's good for adding some extra area to keep it lined up. And then putting it right at the back here will mean that it won't tip off the boat, off the ship that I put it on very easily. And then all I have to do for inside my boat is basically bring the stair level up a bit. And maybe I can use some fluid ports to make it look like a grate. I think that's a good sort of a good solution. It's a good solution to let me have the grippers in here. So basically nothing changed. I do want to try and move this fluid port that's inside the 1x2 wedge, so that I can fill that in, and then it would be a solid wall that whole way down. Getting that to poke out somewhere is kind of an issue, and I'm also having issues with these wedges here when I walk past, so I might need to remove those completely. What I might do then is take these pipes, go around? I can't go around because of that pyramid there. So I basically need this fluid port to go through here, or here. So I guess it means I'm adding an extra wall or something like that. So I guess that allows me to really separate the two spaces. It keeps the pipe running like normal, and it allows that fluid port to go straight up, which is the access for the water hoses. I think that's a good solution. I need to start work on a radar, so I'm going to do like a radar sonar combination. This display over here will be for weather and engine, I think. I've got the don't get lost unit up the top, but I don't know if I'll just do all weather information on here or all engine information, or try and split it maybe. Yeah, and otherwise there's not too much I can really put in here because the interior walls are actually 1x4 wedges. So, you know, like all of the wall, it can have stuff put on it, but not really in it. I might cut out at the ends of the seats and the roof, I can put some more handles in. These handles at the front are actually just to let you grab coming out of the hatch. But then maybe it looks a bit more consistent to have more of them as like a way to hold on if you're moving through the ship. So I think this basically works. I put a breaker up here and there is a backup battery down here in the front. So if I do have an impact and the main battery goes out, I can just flick that on and it connects from that backup battery up here, and then it reconnects down on the dash. So it's not even going through that main battery at all. So I should be able to come in here, push the button. Got 2 lights down in the passenger area and 1 light up behind the captain. Then if we go down below deck, we have, oh, I should maybe move the button so it's over here somewhere. Button there, and then that turns on 2 lights on each side here, and then 1 main one up the back, which is not working. I guess when you could walk around the side bits here, it made it seem like you would stand up in here and push the button, but you're just going to fall through, not see the button at all, and then walk around in the dark. So yep, it'd be better to put it back there. If I turn it to nighttime, I think that's a decent amount of light. There's a bit back here where it's not painted. I don't know how I'm getting up onto here either. Something I haven't figured out yet. Or if I even need to get up onto here. There's really only access to the pumps up here, so yeah, it's not important. I guess I wanted a way to be able to weld these desalinators from the top if I had to. Yeah, there is actually no way to access back here either, because that's totally sealed off. I might put some hatches in because, you know, we're going with the whole thing of being able to repair everything. Should probably make sure I've got access to get into there somehow. I kind of wouldn't mind if that was just open either, because then it would mean I can get rid of this fluid port that's up here, which is only there to direct or to share the air pressure between the main cabin and the engine room area. Should probably paint my waterproof line around here as well. I would like these to be hatches, but then I can't do that single line down the bottom. It has to like connect up here somewhere. On the side over here by the medical bed, it's not too bad. If I spin the hatch around the other way and maybe paint grey in the back here, and then through here I can do some kind of paint block. So then on my boat, because the idea is that this goes on a ship, on like a permanently ocean bound ship, there will be a thing that this can slot into. Something like that. I don't know if there's really a need for it to be properly wedged, like it can just be a one by one. Doesn't even need to be that. It's probably more likely that it would look better if it were just a raised thing on top of whatever section it's on. I actually thought this was a lot narrower. I thought it was only 3 pretty wide. Because I also want space and the ability to swap out for the lifeboat, the rib, or a submarine. And I want to build a submarine that can fit within the starting spawn area. So I think the only things I'm really missing off this boat are sonar and radar capability. And I can use this back section, I think. Hide them in here. And then I also probably need a way to get back here to weld, fix anything up. I don't want to cut into the back because this is just a big buoyant area. And it's helping it, it's like, it sits low in the back, so that's helping it lift up as well. So this is interesting. The cost of this is $65,000. The lifeboat I was using in Korea of this model was $80,000, wasn't it? So I've lost $20,000 somewhere. I have no idea how that would happen though. It's just so much money to just not have. I thought maybe this would fit on the rib trailer, but the hard point is kind of too far back for where the front angled piece is. It's the same connection type, so if I really want to build a trailer that can move both of those things around, then it is possible. So now what I want to do is try and build out the shape of a submarine. I need a submarine so that I can get into those caves if a diving mission ever comes up. I think the only real requirement is that it have one of these magnetic dock hatches on maybe the top and bottom. If it's on the top, then I can connect to things from the bottom. But you can just use a moon pull for a lot of that stuff. It would be like if you put a ladder through the middle. If you did something like this, and then make it so you can go around. This way you can open the top and the bottom. Might even want to spread those out further. I mean, that's a pretty big submarine, isn't it? For just a small rescue sub. So I guess you want to have the hatches pretty far away so that it's easy to maneuver them in. And you need to have your ladders right up against them so that when you connect to the other magnetic hatch, oh no, it's going to be two magnetic hatches, so the ladder's going to disconnect anyway. Like, you won't be able to walk the whole way through your ladder, through the hatches, and then into the next ladder. It's going to drop you out. We better test this and figure out how magnetic hatches actually work and how ladders work through them. So this is simulating a magnetic hatch on my submarine. Connected to another submarine. So when I get on the ladder, you let go of the ladder because it's 2 blocks. You're traveling across 2 blocks between the ladders, which means even if you do a big ladder, full ladder, you still just let go and drop. So there's like no point in having ladders at all, other than for the fact of if I look through the hatch at something else, I can jump and grab the ladder and try and get in that way. That's actually really, like, kind of impossible unless I go all the way to the very top. Well, we're going to have to say that one's a bit of a fail. There's basically nothing that we can do. The developers need to implement a better way to handle docking, I think. So here's my submarine. I think if it's 9 blocks high on the inside, that's fine. And the length is pretty crazy anyway, because if I want it to be the same kind of spec as the lifeboat, it's essentially full length and width of this build zone. It's a little bit not as wide, but in the case of a submarine, it's probably not gonna matter too much. Now I'm thinking I'll do a big window here. Maybe try and make this a bit curvy or something. I don't know if I want it to be like a dome necessarily. I don't know about this. This seems pretty stupid. Maybe I should build the shape and then try and fit windows into it. Because I know what kind of shape I want. This is going to get pretty tricky though, because I want it to have quite a nice curve on the front. Which means the windows are going to look kind of janky. Something like this shape, perhaps, maybe a bit wider. And then it would have one of these, I don't know what they are, one of those things that goes up on the top. And that's probably where you would put your hatch, magnetic hatch. Maybe it has two of these, so like this one is where you magnetize onto other vessels. And then maybe there's another one, because I guess the ladder would go this way. And that's pretty high. It could all come down one set of two. And I was thinking maybe there would be another hatch behind it, but it probably doesn't matter as long as there's two hatches. Like, as long as there's space for you to sort of exist with your head poking out. And then the rear section will kind of taper back as well. Whoa. Okay. See, because it's tipping over, what I could probably do is just use the same kind of system or the same design that I had on the Lifeboat, which I think actually is... I'm trying to remember why it was shaped like that, and I can't remember, but I think it might have been for weight, just to dump some weight in the bottom. So we've got the same shape, which should mean it's good for compatibility with anything that the Lifeboat can connect to. This Submarine can also connect to. I want to make the sub steam powered as well, but before I start placing anything, we'll wait and see if the developers will fix Steam or if it's not ever going to work again. So this needs to get a lot heavier because I think it should sit, basically the water line should be about in the middle of the ballast tanks. So yeah, it needs to drop down quite a lot. Okay, I've put a temporary set of propellers which are way out of the water and a fin, real big fin. This isn't gonna work. I need it to be much lower. So like steam equipment weighs so much that I'm not at much risk of not being able to make it heavy. I can just put all the steam power stuff in the floor, but for testing it I'm gonna have to use barrels, or I could just fill it up with, you know, random steam equipment. It's looking like if you're on the Stormworks official Discord, they've got an experimental channel now, and one of the comments in there was that the condensers will also be able to boil water. So I may end up with just 2 condensers, so it's like a micro boiler. So it's half the weight, but it's also, it's not half the size really, but it is a smaller size. So that may eliminate the need for a boiler. I'm still going to need a furnace. I'm still going to need pistons, but there's a good chance I can get away with using the small pistons. And just like heaps of them. So that's about... I don't know, it's 250, it's probably about 700, no, it's probably like 1,000, probably like a ton. Does it work? Sort of. If this is how fast my submarine is going to go, that's pretty quick, don't you think? Especially if you're like underwater. Most of this is underwater. It looks a bit goofy. I might extend the ballast tank so they go all the way to the back. And I might not need the rudder to be so big. It'll need fins and stuff all over it as well for rolling and things, pitching. I feel like this shape is a good idea. Having this narrow bit of weight down the middle at the bottom, and then having 2 ballast tanks on the side. I think that's a good way to do it, because there'll always be air, I guess, in the ballast tanks. But it'll be compressed and then uncompressed, so that can push the water in and out. I don't know how submarines work. I'm going to have a crash course on submarines. So, like, for the windows, I could just do that. It's kind of stupid. I could have it so that there's a bit of a little rim thing above the windows. So I guess you might be thinking, I don't actually need windows on a submarine, but this is a rescue submarine, so I'm going to have to most likely get visual confirmation of where the targets are before I actually go out into the water. So having windows is going to be really important. Let me save this. This is the research, or what is it? Rescue submarine. And then maybe I can try and build a window that maybe can influence a better design. Maybe I have a bit more of a square design like this. And then you can really see out the front quite well. And I could come back a little bit and start using porthole windows. And you wouldn't need too many of these because, I mean, the submarine's not very big and you need it to be able to hold all the engines and seating and all this other stuff. It goes from being a very cylindrical submarine to a very school bus submarine. I would really like a bigger window like this that does wrap around the front. I think I just need to do some more research into submarines. Submarine shapes, how their windows work, stuff like that. I was thinking I should call this one the Shark, and that way I've got a dolphin and a shark, or something like that. And then they can go on to my bigger mothership when that comes along as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.